For XRP, the important time has finally come. As I've been saying for the last few days, we've been waiting for this. This video is now going to talk about it. We'll be talking about a lot of things, so please sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Let me introduce myself. For those who are new to the channel, I hope you'll become a subscriber by the end of this movie. What are you waiting for? Start using the free chat if you haven't already. We are getting close to 10,000 people who are very happy with what they can do in the Discord. You can join by clicking on the link in the text below. Thus, let us commence. Allow us to talk about some issues. There was a bit of a drop in Bitcoin not long ago. We can see that it did go back down to about $91,400 if we go examine it. We're going to look at some candle closes, but Bitcoin is still moving around here for the most part. If we look at the past year, we can see that it has stayed around the same amount starting in November and going all the way through December. If we look at XRP right now, it's worth about $2.04. Let's take a closer look at the map. This is how it looks. Right here is what the 7 days look like. And this is what 1 month looks like too. One more thing to note is that the low points on this chart are still higher. If we look at Bitcoin itself, not just the coin market cap, we can see that we have held the 91.9 thousand level so far. On the 12-hour chart, the candle body ends. Prices are still close to the big support zone that goes back to the 19th and 20th. If we look at the daily charts, we can see that some of the daily body closes are below the previous lows. However, we are still above the lows from November 26th and November 27th, which means that these higher lows are still closed in on this chart. Ultimately, flipping some major levels is what I'm really looking for, and I'm sure you guys already know this from the previous videos. I'd like to see Bitcoin actually flip over at around 96.5 thousand. Following that, we carefully examine the inverse fair value gap that we reached earlier in order to finally surpass the 100,000 level and record a higher high on this chart. It's going to take some time, and I think patience is very important right now, because guess what will happen if we start to lose some of these new lows? That is, if we get a 12-hour close below 92K, around $81,500 to $85,000 is where we start to look at some of the other low points on this chart. There you have it, our fair value gap, at least every day. And that fair value gap can be seen down here if we look at the daily. This is my main issue. If this area up here starts to disappear, aka, for example, 92K, that's what I wish to see with Bitcoin. There has been no big change. As I already said, XRP has that nice wick to the downside that is almost $2. I have already said in other shows that I don't want us to lose $2. This is what I meant by liquidity wick when I talked about backing that $2 move. This is pretty much what I wanted us to kind of wick down to repeat. It looks like we hit the bottom trend line pretty well, and the bounce off of it isn't too big yet. We need to keep our cool, because we still need to be careful. I said, the crucial moment is officially here today. Today is going to be the day that we figure out if we are going to lose the $2 level or not once more. Price activity should already be printed out on the chart by the time this video goes live. Why is it so important to me to think about what will happen if we lose $2? In the end, there is a fair value gap here on the 12-hour chart between about $1.68 and $1.76. I don't think we really have on a daily basis. That is, this isn't really a specific fair value gap because it's such a big area. It costs around $1.63 to $1.76 though. I think the next big move for XRP will be somewhere between $1.60 and $1.80 if we lose this trend line. We've held on to it so far. We did add wick below it. There are times when fake outs happen. We are going to keep a close eye on this to see if this bounce will continue. To really start to regain a lot of power on XRP, it needs to break over $2.18 and find some support there. So what we want to see is a break above this chopping on this building support, also known as building a floor, and then the price to keep going up to retake that upper trend line for a possible breakout or retest of some support. That would be about $2.20 with a few cents added on, or maybe even more, around $2.30. After that, the price should break above the upper trend line, meet some resistance, try the trend line again, and then keep going up. This is what we call healthy price action. We're going to keep a close eye on this for a few days because it's not going to happen today. Today, though, the goal is to keep this trend line going. Keep your $2 with Bitcoin. We want to stay above 92K. Not one close below that is what we want to see. We should be fine. We should be fine if we keep these values. BTC should be back above $100,000 before the next level. We should try the previous highs again, and if this is the bottom, we should keep going up from here on out. Because if we're not, Bitcoin is going to hit very low prices. That is, XRP will actually break this trend line and keep going down. We'll take things one day at a time. You're not going to be able to see into the future like in a magic show. Is this TA? Even though the market is so unstable right now, things can change at any time. Our attention is still on 2025. Why? Why? Because the story about crypto is still very positive going into 2025. First there are the ETFs. Pay attention. These ETFs have done really well. They are actually making history. We have Bloomberg says that BlackRock's Spot Bitcoin ETF is the best ETF start ever. The start of BlackRock's Bitcoin fund, IBIT, was the biggest in the history of exchange-traded funds ETFs. In just 11 months, it grew to have more than $50 billion in assets. US ETFs were a big reason why Bitcoin went over $100,000. And listen, if we really go back to when these ETFs were first announced to where we are now, it says a lot about how much people want to have Bitcoin in their portfolios that these ETFs have been so successful. Bitcoin has done really well so far. A lot of people think of it as digital gold. A lot of people see it as a safe place to put their money to avoid inflation and possible financial system collapses. I believe this is true for all coins as well. I think a lot of people are putting their money into crypto because they think it will become a bigger part of the global financial system and maybe even fix it in the long run. But besides this, with all the talk about ETFs, Bitcoin is becoming a bigger, I would say, star in TradFi. It will bring in a lot more money, investors, and people who are interested in crypto. Besides that, we also have to pay back the FTX creditors, which will start on January 3rd, 2025, at the beginning of the year. It's going to be big. Everyone needs to pay attention to this. Why? Because $16 billion is being paid back. Inside 60 days of the start date, it will happen, and $12 billion worth of it will be in safe coins. It is very important to pay attention to the stable coin side of things, since I expect a lot of that $12 billion in stable coins to flow back into the area. Such a large sum of money has been sent, and it will undoubtedly help spark the next big rise. This will be wave 3 of wave 5, which means that prices should be going much higher. But also on top of the FTX payments and the fact that Bitcoin is becoming a bigger star and more. People in the retail sector are buying crypto. We also have a professional crypto manager. Also remember that Eric Trump said he would be the most crypto-friendly president ever. When Eric Trump talked about crypto, he was talking about what his fans will be really interested in. He also said that the US needs to accept crypto if it wants to be a leader. He also said that standard finance and banking are broken and that crypto could be a way to fix that. Is this a lot of talk? Is this getting a lot of attention? Yes, there is 100%. I'll be the first to say that. But crypto is getting too big to ignore when we think about how big it is. That's true for every level, right? Crypto is now known to everyone. I believe Trump is serious when he says he wants the US to be a leader in crypto. If we don't start to accept it, other countries will, which will put them far ahead of us in the race. And for a while now, everyone around the world has been trying to become a crypto hub. The UK, the UAE, Singapore, and Hong Kong are all taking steps to become crypto hubs. It only makes sense for the US to support this too. On top of that, Gary Gensler is stepping down on January 20th to make room for Trump's nominee. Also, we already know that Trump's candidate has been named. Yes, there will be a lot of changes at the SEC and in the US market, so this is also something important to keep in mind. If the US market starts to accept crypto, and if crypto starts to get those tax-free benefits, then wave 3 will be very big. This could lead to a 5th wave that is much bigger as well. And if this is just wave 3, then XRP could go much higher than anyone, including myself.